features that we've added to SCANalytics based off of user requests, as well as some changes that we've made just to the displays in terms of the cover pages, as well as some report defaults that you can now edit so that you don't have to do that on an individual basis. We've also added some functionality that allows you to set the rebalance rate on blended benchmarks. And I plan on covering all of that as well as going over some report branding on today's call. So to get us started, what I'll show you is, as you all know, and I'm sure you're familiar with, in our illustrations, you have the ability to set a rebalance rate on the illustration here itself. So for example, going into an illustration with more than one position, when I head over to the allocation, Section 2.6 allows me to set a rebalance rate on the model, whether that be none, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. So for example, here I can select semi-annually. Now some of our users, or actually quite a few of our clients, create their own blended benchmarks. And one of the features that had been requested was a way to kind of adjust how these blended benchmarks rebalance in the reports as well. So for example, here I have the ability to select one of my blended benchmarks. And for example, here on my 60/40, our standard default rebalancing rate on the benchmarks is monthly. But as you notice, I set my rebalancing rate on the portfolio there to semi-annually. And I can do the same here simply by using this drop-down and selecting the semi-annual rebalance. Also wanted to mention, if you have any questions, please feel free to type those into the question chat box there. I'll do my best to answer all questions at the end of the call. So here again, I have the ability to really quickly and easily select the rebalancing rate on my custom blended benchmarks. And that will display on all of the report output with the rebalance rate I've selected. Now, some of the really neat functionality we've also added has to do with report branding and the way you can display the report output here. So under My Info, you have the ability to adjust all of your branding parameters. And hopefully folks are familiar with this, where you load your cover page logo, the header logo for all reports, as well as the customization of the report colors and schemes here. So for example, I've updated my color scheme to reflect the colors you see below. You can adjust all colors pretty quickly and easily by clicking onto the drop-downs. Or if you know how to get this color code off of websites, for example, you can simply copy and paste those codes in there. If anyone has questions about branding and setting up your own specific branding, we'd be happy to work with you and set that up. Now, some of the new functionality we've added, for example, has to do with the cover page. The standard cover page obviously is standard. The new one is a standard version 2. And there's going to be some really neat features that standard version 2 is going to open up for you here. For example, we have the ability to add quite a bit of cover text. And really this was done at the request of folks that wanted to be able to get their disclosure right up in front and center in terms of on the cover of the report itself rather than on the footer or at the tail end of the report. So for example, here what I can do is I can take quite a bit of text and simply paste it in. So here I'm just going to take some basic Latin verbiage, throw it in there that really means nothing at all to us unless you have read or studied Latin, in which case I feel very bad for you. Just kidding. So I'm going to add that text here. I can go ahead and save that. And also here, I have the ability to add footer text. So for example, here I just typed in custom footer text, where you could type in, made exclusively for Jane Doe or for client review, things like that. Whatever text you'd like to add at the footer, I'll review that with you as well. Then lastly, the report versions. We have a couple of different report versions. Hopefully most of you are using our newer report version 2, which looks a little bit cleaner. And you have a couple different fonts you can pick from here as well. I'll go ahead and update this to DIN Pro for our output versions. I can save all of that here. Now lastly, or one of the other neat features that we've added that I'll show you here under My Info, before we go ahead and build something and show you the output, is our ability here to go ahead and edit hypothetical defaults on reports. So for example, a lot of our clients said, I'm basically adjusting the same thing over and over when I'm running these reports. is there any way I could come in and maybe set some of these defaults as standard things so I don't have to populate them manually? So here you'll notice that we've set quite a few things that you can come in here and update. So for example, the default time horizon on the reports, our report's always going to be common asset inception. Maybe you want to see them run for a 5-year period. You could set that here. You can also set all these other features. I'll go ahead and toggle a few of them. Maybe we want to apply a RAT fee. And let's just say, for example, we're billing 1%. We're going ahead and we're billing 1% quarterly. I'm going to go ahead and put that fee value as 25 basis points, frequency as quarterly. And I have the ability then to maybe get rid of all my transaction fees and to waive all redemptions here. So just some basic things I can set. I could also toggle my tax defaults as well as my report benchmarks and things like that. I'll just go ahead and make a few changes here. Save that here, and then save again at the bottom of this page. Now going into one of my illustrations here, what I can do is build a report here. Maybe for this I'll just build the fact sheets and the cover page. Again, the report comes up fairly quickly here. And as you notice, I have my full disclosure text that I added right to the cover page. And again, quite a bit of text will fit right here on the cover page. So you can certainly get a full disclosure as well as perhaps a customized note to the client, or the entire disclosure for the firm and the IRA, firm and broker-dealer, whatever the case might be, right in here. Now also you'll notice on all of my reports I have the custom footer text set right there. That'll show on all pages of the report. So again, giving you the ability to either brand this, customize it a little bit more, or add just some text here to the bottom of the report pages. Now also I set some defaults in those reports. So if I were to build a new hypothetical, you'll notice, for example, the 5 years is already selected for me, as I set that as one of my default time frames. Here, also on the Fees tab, I went ahead and already entered my RAT fee, the billing frequency, as well as waiving all transaction fees. So I'm able to do that pretty quickly and easily. These kinds of functions and functionality can really streamline your operational processes there in terms of not making the report so cumbersome in terms of the manual edits there. So I wanted to point that out as well. Then lastly, I wanted to take you through some of the report branding, just for those of you that aren't very familiar with the branding area here. You have the ability really to load your cover page logo again here, the header logo here. You can edit the hypothetical defaults as we just reviewed in this section. You also have the ability to set up a tiered fee schedule right here under My Info. So for example, currently I'm just charging a default 1.5%. Maybe I want to put a breakpoint in there for all accounts that go over $1 million. I simply populate the value here and enter my fee here. So maybe I'm going down to 1% once you get over $1 million. Our system can then quickly and easily apply your fee schedule based off of account value once it's set up in the fee schedule area under My Info. Also, under report branding, as I showed you, you have the ability to change and edit all of your report colors in terms of the headers, the chart colors, as well as bar chart colors. And also, as we reviewed, you have the ability to adjust your cover page version, the cover text, the footer, as well as the report versions. So really, I do plan on having another call that dives a little bit deeper into branding. But really what I wanted to show you today were some of the new functions. For example, the rebalance rate on the blended benchmarks, the enhanced cover page with the additional report branding as well as disclosures, the cover text page that the cover page text that we were able to quickly add and edit in there, as well as some of the report defaults that we can edit here under My Info. So really, that's what I wanted to cover on this call. With that, I notice I already have some questions in the chat box. I'll start answering those and just open it up for any other questions that come in. Please feel free to type those in. So the first question I see is adjusting report benchmarks. So that is certainly, you know, as I reviewed, you have the ability to do that for the report output itself. So for example, when I'm building this report, I have the ability here to select any benchmark I'd like to use. So I could use Barclays, obviously the Lippers, which all of our positions are by default pegged to, as well as some Russell and MSCI indexes, S&P as well, and I have the ability to create my own blended. Now in terms of the individual products, all of our products are going to be tied out to Lipper benchmarks. If you'd like those adjusted, that's something we can have a conversation about. That is possible. It'd require a little bit of work on your end as well as our end in terms of identifying what positions you want adjusted and which benchmark you'd like assigned to it. But it is possible with a little bit of work here. Next question I'm seeing there is, are these training sessions recorded? They are. I'm actually recording this call now, and I can go ahead and shoot out a copy of this session to you, as well as some of the prior training sessions I've done on various other topics here. So I'll be happy to share those with anyone that's interested. Again, I went over most of what I wanted to cover on today's call. So if you have any questions, feel free to type those in. Otherwise, I'm going to hang out for the next couple of minutes, answer any questions that come in. And I do notice I've received a couple of emails for folks that want to discuss one-off specific things to their firm. That's a great way to reach me as well. You can always email me at the email address you received this invite from, which is vkumar@advisoryworld.com, vkumar@advisoryworld.com. You can phone us at 800-480-3888. I'm at extension 105. Our general support line is option 2. Reach out to us if you have any problems or any questions about the reports. We're always happy to help out. And other than that, I'm just going to kind of hang out here and answer any other questions that come in. But again, I want to really thank you for taking the time out of your busy days to join us on today's training call. And we look forward to seeing you on future training sessions.